Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome back to GSPN Daily Forest. It's me, Mark, joined by the brilliant Stuart and James. Boys, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Those watching and not listening will see that the sun is almost out. We've done all this, going through the whole winter of evening records, but now it's a nice Saturday afternoon recording a podcast, and let's enjoy the last few games of the season.
Yeah, 100%. James, how's things?
I've come to my dark room to escape from Forest's dark form. The hit and miss the last few games. I'm a bit concerned.
It's giving like the Love Island private room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, baby.
Big fan. I mean, that's, potentially as much excitement as we're in for this weekend. Difficult game tomorrow. St James, they look like a team on form at the minute, don't they?
Yeah. Do we think that we just smoked too much of our own reputation or hype after the 7-0, and that was why Fulham was so flat, or what? Like, we're going to bounce back, or?
I mean, who knows? I mean, there's just about enough buffer room that I think we can, if we really want to get top 5, as it will be, we can afford to draw these next run of games, Newcastle, Arsenal and City. So I'm hoping for a run of three draws in a row. Then I think mathematically we wouldn't be lower than 5th after that run. But no, it certainly is crucial tomorrow as we record to see how we're going to bounce back from Fulham and Exeter. Really, you could say that's two bad games in a row if you include Exeter.
Yeah, well, 3 points at Newcastle would give the 3 points rather than 3 draws, which would be helpful. But I think one of the things that we struggled with was actually after the Exeter game. We didn't have much time to recover. Seemed like quite a hard game. A lot was going on the pitch. Obviously, with the Awonyi injury as well, that takes some out of you as well. Do you think that maybe Fulham we were just a bit knackered?
No, I thought I heard you say that earlier in the week, and I thought, are we though? Because we didn't start the first team against Exeter. You know what I mean? We did make a lot of changes. Yes, some of the first team came on towards the end of the game, but they didn't play 120 minutes. First team players maybe played 60 minutes with big, like you said, with Awonyi breaks in there. So I just don't know if that's an excuse.
Yeah, maybe mentally, because it was such an odd evening. It was, I think, the longest match Forest have ever played in terms of when it finished compared to when it started. With so even though you're right, a lot of the first team players didn't play all of it, but as Mark says, the feeling of seeing your teammate go down, the Carlos Miguel injury, and the hassle of having to get all the way down to Exeter after that Dubai trip, it almost mentally, I think, was the big challenge after Exeter, rather than necessarily physically for all of the players.
Maybe.
Do you think Dubai maybe made a difference? Do you think anything like that's like being to Dubai, obviously the heat, obviously having to travel back? Do you think that's maybe kind of thrown us off a little bit?
No, they're supposed to be rejuvenating trips. You know what I mean? Surely they wouldn't go if they thought everyone comes back knackered after partying all week in the heat. But I don't know. I mean, I think in Nuno I trust, but the formation was a mistake against Fulham, lining up with 5 at the back. Yes.
You can see, it's the 7-0 win. So I think he, rather than approaching Fulham and thinking, how can I best beat Fulham, he sort of rewarded everyone else by saying, okay, let's do the same again, which again was, we can now see it as a mistake, but equally, if he'd dropped a player after a 7-0 win, he'd be like, why is he dropping him? We won 7-0 last week. So I think we really need to settle out of this every game different at the moment, which is why I would be more than happy with 3 draws, get a team structure again back, and then push on. There were only 10 games left after these 3, so and then push on from there.
Okay.
Do you think there's like an element of predictability starting to come into our game? Second half of the seasons, the top teams usually figure people out. We've seen that a lot against like teams that have got relegated over the years, like happened to Hull and Blackpool and all those teams. Do you think that maybe, one of the factors of us doing so well in the first half of the season is that we were unpredictable and we did change every week, and maybe we've kind of got a bit obvious now?
Yeah, but I think after the first quarter of the season, it was like that. All teams should have known that we'd set out our stall in the first 6-7 games, and it was working. The bubble was already there, and everyone was saying, "Oh, Forest up to 5th, they're never going to get any higher," and stuff like that. Whereas we've been up to 2nd. So I can't see how how to put. There's only so many ways to play football,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're a good manager, you can think of how to counter all those ways. So it's all about how you deliver it, if you know what I mean. If you deliver it on your day, you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've got lightning quick defenders who can get back. And I think that's something that Fulham did. I'm not saying they're lightning quick, but they didn't allow us the space to break. And with only Wood and Elanga leading the line and no option down both wings, I think we made it easy for them to keep that back line in the way. So,
yeah, fair. So Newcastle tomorrow, what changes would you make? Because, Gordon and Isaac looking pretty solid, dangerous going forward. How would you set up against those two?
I think we'd say back to the back four, because what we had been, I think the big selection decision really is who is that midfield? Is this a game to bring Yates back in? Is it a game to bring Dominguez back in? Or do you persist with Danilo and Sangare? Because the first time we do have options. We've got those two back from the long-term injuries. And yeah, to be honest, I think based on when you do look at that good run of form earlier in the season, Yates was starting. So I think the changes from Fulham, it'll be Marato and Danilo out, Yates and Hudson-Odoi coming back in, assuming Hudson-Odoi is fit to start. But that's what I can see Nuno doing based on what we know of him from his team selections earlier in the season.
Yeah,
looks good to me. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I think definitely Danilo out. Not that I don't think he's good, but he wasn't up to it last week. I don't think Sangare is worth bringing in totally. So Dominguez and Yates, or Dominguez and Anderson maybe, but at the back stick the M&M in, and hope for a Desmond or sneaking a win.
Well, you never know. Last season we went there and won 3-1, and we kind of caught Newcastle unaware. Is there a way we can do that this season?
It's kind of different, really, isn't it? Because that was the fluke. That was Nuno's second game in charge. So, yeah, Newcastle, of course, give us a lot more respect than they did at that time. I'm not saying they underestimated Forest, but it was Boxing Day. They were complacent. But now, because the situation is different, this is now in a battle for Europe rather than last year where it was us fighting for our lives, hoping to get what proved to be a rare victory away last season. So yeah, even though our players, I think probably only Anderson and Milenkovic will play for us tomorrow, that didn't play for us in that game, it will still feel like a completely different scenario, a completely different Forest.
Yeah, but what about two amazing players to put in there? If you were going to say who are we going to up the side with, and then someone said after their form so far this season, Anderson and Milenkovic, it has increased, it has made us better. But I think tomorrow it's going to be the fight between Isak and Wood, two of the most informed strikers in the Premier League at the minute. And to see who can score the most. I have no doubt we won't keep a clean sheet, and I don't think they will either. I think there'll be goals in the game. I don't think Livramento is going to be able to handle Hudson-Odoi. Who are they playing down their left back at the moment?
Lewis Hall, still the other young former Chelsea guy.
I don't think he'll be able to handle the combination of Elanga and Aina. With them flying down there. So I would say Wood will score. How many he scores, who knows? But it's the classic coming back to bite you. Should they have sold Anderson, will he get a hat-trick tomorrow?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
It'd be amazing,
so
wouldn't
nice.
it?
Really would. Let's go to the ads and then we'll chat more about Newcastle next.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Lovely. Sounds good.
Sorry, before you go on, did you see some of the names that's associated with that Bioniq, who we're
Yes.
now with on the list?
Cristiano Ronaldo is the headline. I haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah, there's Ronaldo, there's Anthony. Not that he's any good. There's a bunch of footballers like across Europe and stuff like that, and loads of other sports people who they put on their webpage. They need to put this screenshot on of, Global Sports Network affiliated with them. But I was considering
I want to
getting
see
some, to be honest.
the Bioniq head page. I want to see like a picture of Ronaldo next to Marley. That's the
Mate,
future.
could you
Do you know what I
imagine?
mean? That's class.
This it could be you might be this, but you could be this, and show Ronaldo. Sorry,
Like
Marley.
a 6 week before and after Marley's 6 week journey from Bioniq, taking Bioniq. So yeah, let's watch this space on our TikTok for Marley's Bioniq journey.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if Ronaldo came on the podcast. If his face appeared, I'd be like, Marley?
Yeah, oh mate, get you 40% off Bioniq now, miracles included.
Yeah. He's there with his space light in the background. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like a Doctor Who episode. Love it. Last season, Langer had a lot of luck down the right-hand side. Lewis Hall is quicker than Dan Burn at the left-back position. Do you think they'll prepare for that this season, or do you think we can still have a lot of luck with it? Because I think, going forward, I don't think Gordon will help out as much.
I think Dan Burn still plays. You're right. Last year he was the left back who Anthony Elanga, gave him a very torrid time. But equally, if Dan Burn is now, when I did the crossover with Ian from GSPN Daily Newcastle a few days ago, he said Burn will definitely start. They've got a bit of a central defensive injury crisis, so he can still use Elanga to target Dan Burn. He'll mainly medium shifting in more centrally than he would do otherwise on the wing. But no, if that was, as you're right, Mark, that was the key battle last year, have it again, just in a slightly different area in the pitch.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing.
Yeah, go on.
I'm seeing a triangle, right? I'm seeing Elanga level with the edge of the 18-yard box. Aina bombing on after him, but also Gibbs White coming in from centre pitch, playing triangles around Lewis Hall, pulling Dan Burn out of the middle to try and support him and give him Wood a one-on-one with the other central defender. And I'd rate him against any central defender for when that cross comes in from one of those three. So I think unless they can unless they've got some pacey central defensive midfielders who can support that back four and get back to make that a 3-on-3 in that corner, I think we're going to have some luck getting those crosses in.
Yeah. So let's look at the Newcastle midfield. I know Guimaraes got a knock a few weeks ago. Is he back or is he missing? Because if he's missing, that's good.
Joe Linton of their usual three of Tonali, Guimaraes, Joe Linton. It's Joe Linton who's the one who I don't think will play.
Fine. Okay. Well, that means Willock will come in, and he's got some form at the minute, which is kind of a bit of a annoyance. But Guimaraes and Tonali have got pace. Guimaraes, always known for a foul though, but they will probably help out the back four. But then, having said that, with Anderson in there and Gibbs White, they'll give them a run around. I think there's definitely there's some sort of like success to be had there. I think.
Let's just looking at our kind of defensive midfielders spot. Are we picking Dominguez or Yates?
I mean, I'm trying to predict Nuno, so I think Nuno will go for Yates because Yates has been trusted slightly above Dominguez in some of the previous big away games. But you're right, and if Guimaraes and Tonali, they are more skilled as well. They aren't just the old-fashioned British get stuck in player. So I certainly see the value of Dominguez, but I have a hunch based on what Nuno has done before, and Nuno will go for Yates.
Yeah,
okay, so let's try.
I was just going to say, I kind of think we need Dominguez. I think Yates. I mean, it'll be one of them for 60, 70 minutes, and the other one will come on, no doubt. Yeah. But I think we need the. I don't know if we need to go for the physical presence of Yates to kind of just knock them down and say, don't be playing that tiki-taka in here, or if we need someone like Dominguez who can kind of match up against them and not get megged all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Dominguez is a similar player, but of a slightly lesser quality. So if Dominguez against Guimaraes, it's like for like. Dominguez isn't going to come off as strongly, which is maybe why you go for Yates, who isn't like for like, who's going to annoy and get into Guimaraes' space in a different way. So that's again another possible reason why it might be Yates against the Shirts.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, gutsy. Is there a possibility that he might look for someone a bit more physical, someone a bit bigger, maybe players like Sangare in there? Because if Elliott Anderson's the run-in, he might maybe put someone a bit bigger, a bit more physical in terms of Sangare. Because you saw the balls he was playing at Exeter. If we are going for counter-attack, he could ping some balls through.
Yeah, he was amazing against Exeter. That's what I'm going to say. Is he going to have that time and space? And that's what they were always saying during that commentary, that Exeter players need to cut down the time and space on Sangare because he's playing balls like he's alone on the park. He'd got 10 yards around him constantly in order to be able to pick those passes and put them in, which was great. And he did a really good job at it. But is he going to have that 10 yards in this game? I don't think so.
Maybe not, but he might be fitter.
Maybe.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, when is he gonna get fit if he's not going to play games? Yeah, whether we're holding him back for the Ipswich Cup game next weekend, I think it is now, or whether we have to throw him in and give him the 60, and then he's the one rotated out. But no, it's a completely valid point. Exeter was probably his best game for us. It is just the same. It was against Exeter and not Liverpool. But you never know. There's a player in there somewhere. I still believe that.
Yeah, I would love to see, even for like 10 games, I'd love to see him get back to his like PSV heights. I'd love to see him like just monster through midfield. Do you remember he used to walk through like teams? Well, yeah, it was amazing. When he came, I was expecting like a battering ram.
Yeah.
And then it never really arrived.
Do you remember that pre-season friendly we had against them? And he absolutely destroyed us in midfield. Like you said, like the waves just parted for him, and players almost seemed to. He got this like magnetic force in front of him that repelled them out of the way.
Yeah.
He scored. Didn't he score PSV's goal in that game? I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah. And then I remember him signing on like the transfer deadline, and seeing him at the City Ground. Who else was with him? There was him and one other.
I think it was even Omar I think it was someone random like that. Someone less heralded. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were going in to sign in everything, and you were like, "Oh, this is amazing!" But he got injured pretty quick, didn't he? And it's just never really kicked on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think if we get into the Champions League next season, it'd be interesting to see if his form changes and see if it gives him more of a direction.
Interesting to see if he stays. You know what I mean? Like, you imagine defensive midfielders. I'd love to see Ryan Yates captain Forest for at least one game in the Champions League, just as kind of a cherry on the top for his story, which would be unreal. But then at the same time, there's probably central defensive midfielders out there who can marshal right in front of that back four and absolutely, be quarterback for it.
It depends, on who. I mean, in the Champions League under this new format, I mean, you do play a couple of pot four teams. So if our first Champions League game is Slovan Bratislava or Sturm Graz, you can see that being a game for Yates, like you say, to cap the journey from the bottom of the Championship to the Champions League. And so I think if we're in Europe, whatever happens, Yates will at least captain Forest in a few games. In Europe, you're right, but then in the bigger games, he'll, I think, gradually more and more be shifted out. But no, I guess it'll be another topic going forward, and how vastly the squad will change based on which of the three European competitions we could be in.
Yeah, and how many we can keep as well. Let's go to the second ad, and then we'll talk lineups for tomorrow.
Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Lovely. Right, boys, 3 lineups. Who's going first?
Go for it.
Yeah, so I think from my side, I think the one I said at the start, I know we've pushed the case for Sangare and Dominguez throughout the episode, but I'm still gonna stick with Yates partnering Anderson. So I'm going to start with Sales in goal, Adrian Williams still at the fullback. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to bring Moreno back in. He's an option, but I think Adrian Williams despite the disappointment at Fulham, they still deserve the jersey for now. Marilla and Milenkovic, the middle two defenders, then Yates, Anderson, and that classic front four: Elanga, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi, and Chris Wood.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the same as you actually, Stuart, because I think the engine room is going to be massively important tomorrow. So Yates and Anderson definitely is the two. I'm just wondering whether or not he will play Moreno for experience at the back, just because with Aina and Elanga, you're not going to change them because the partnership is brilliant. But could Moreno add something different at the back? We struggled at Fulham a little bit. Could he add a bit more steel? Maybe he looked good when we were at Liverpool. He's played a bit extra. He's got a bit more fitness back. Could he give us an extra dimension?
Yeah, it's interesting. He was kept in January, whereas Ward-Prowse was gotten rid of. So obviously Nuno still sees Moreno as an important part of his plans. So yeah, I think for now at least it'll be Williams and Moreno then coming back in for Ipswich in the Cup. But you're right, there's a midweek game now against Arsenal. Maybe there's a bit of rotation. I would say possibly not, but I see your point. It's certainly a reasonable possibility he comes in.
Yeah, I think I'd probably keep the same lineup as you if I was picking it, though. I think I'm pretty much on the same board. James, have you got any changes?
Only, like we said at the beginning, getting Danilo on the bench needs some more time. Some more shorter, maybe substitute appearances, not ready to start the game yet. Moreno, I don't know. Maybe from the beginning of the game, it'll be better for him, rather than coming into a game that's already stretched and he needs to be going, 10 to the dozen. Whereas at the beginning, you can grow into the game. So yeah, possibly Moreno, but I do like Williams. I do think Williams and Hudson-Odoi have got a bit of chemistry down that side. Probably not as much as Aina and Elanga, but I do think so. I think what would be amazing is if they play Lascelles just for like all time's sake.
God, imagine.
He's not appeared yet this season. If he appears on the starting lineup and he just learns why he should never have left Forest.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a serious point that we in the UEFA squad rules, you have to have the more strict in terms of homegrown players in the Premier League. Like in the Premier League, your homegrown players means just English, but in UEFA, some of your homegrown players have to be specifically from your academy. So at the moment, we've just got Yates. So I think we will actually need to re-sign Lascelles, Carl Dallo, and Matty Cash maybe just for the squad depth, because otherwise we won't even be allowed our full 25-man team. So I can see Lascelles returning to fitness and coming back to Forest to be our fifth centre-back next season.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good podcast in itself. I think Matty Cash could do a job for us, actually.
Yeah, who would you take back? I think Matty Cash.
Matty Cash, I would. Matty Cash, I would, because I think I could put Aina at left back then.
Yeah, or even as an option, you have rotate, because Aina's not really got a competition at the moment. It's Eric Moreira, plays the cup games, the teenager. So I'd certainly think Matty Cash is a competition at right back. He's not necessarily in Villa's first choice 11. So yeah, I think to make up that quota, I think we need 3 more. So I would say Matty Cash, Jamal Lascelles, and Carl Dolo as third choice keeper, because he'd do a job as making an occasional cup appearance. I think
how many do you need? 4 or 5?
4. So we've got Yates, just Yates at the moment. So we need 3 more.
I'd probably go Matty Cash. Darlow's a good option as a third keeper. And I think, I do love Jamal Lascelles though, but he's not really very useful. I think in terms of using the spaces wisely, I think you got to break that bank and just go, do you know what? Let's bring Brendan back.
Yeah.
That's a shout. That is a shout. Do you think, because he's never really caught fire at Tottenham, he had that short spell after he deleted his socials and scored like 4 games in a row, and everyone was like, oh, amazing, concentrating on football, and he's this player and everything, and then it just fell apart again, didn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe coming back would be good for him.
Yeah. Surprise appearance, Lewis McGugan off the bench. Arvin Appiah. What happened to Arvin Appiah? He was quality and he just disappeared. He went to Spain, didn't he? It's nothing.
Yeah.
He's had such a weird career. I think he's definitely been at least another 2 or 3 countries after Spain. So he's been here, there, and everywhere. But no, again, he's another one who late Fawaz era, when we'd sold him, Ben Brereton, even Oliver Burke, every year we'd sell a random teenager for £8 million. But yeah, he's a career who never took off.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, with Brereton and Burke and Worrell, the same as Lascelles, you can't really use them. But I think we'd have to probably go for Brennan, won't we?
Yeah, well, why not? I was thinking of the cheaper end of the squad depth, but no, why not push the boat out to get Brennan back in our Champions League team?
Be nice, wouldn't it? Predictions for tomorrow, Stuart. What are we saying?
I'm going to go for 2-1, 2-1 Forest. I know. I said I would take a draw at the start of the episode, but I've got to predict a win. You're right. I think Isak will score against us, but then it'll be the two old Geordie boys of Chris Wood and Elliott Anderson with our goals.
James,
mate, I'm going for a single Desmond win, so it's going to be a 3-2.
Could see that. See that.
It's going to
Stuart,
go.
I think I'm going to join.
Go on. Sorry.
Big winner at the end.
Yeah.
3-2.
Yeah, we'll be on for the Desmond 2-2, and then we'll get the single on top right at the end, 96 minutes.
Do you know what? Stuart, I was going to join you, but I think I'm going to join James, right? Realistically, if I'm honest, I think Newcastle will probably edge it 2-1. But in terms of positive thinking, Forest fans going for the win, I think it'll be 3-2, but I'm going to go the opposite to you, James. I think we'll go 2-0 up. They might score, we'll get a third, and then we'll try and throw it away at the end and we'll just survive.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say they were going to win 3-2. Yeah, that is more realistic.
Or we'll go 3-0 up and then we'll concede 2 at the start of the second half and hang on.
Oh, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? I'd much rather 2-2, everyone going hell for leather right to the end, both teams, and then them hit the bar at the other end after 10 minutes of epic pressure, and then as it hits the bar, Sells catches it, right? Sells just bowls it out. Elanga up the right, Cho coming in, and then Elanga crosses it. Cho goes for the overhead kick, misses it, but everyone's sent the other way. And then there's Chris Wood at the back post just to nod it in.
On his knees, hands on knees, and just touched it across the line.
You heard it here first, folks.
So I really hope that clips up for Zencastr. Some excellent actions from James there as he's describing that goal.
Could you imagine?
Was quite phenomenal. I'd love it if it played out exactly like that. I'd be like, okay, describe the win every week, and we'll go into the Champions League. Perfect.
I'd have people lining up at the door for fortune telling.
You actually would. In
£40
your X Factor
reading.
Room. Fantastic. Come into the X Factor room. I'll read your palms.
That's right. You heard it here first.
James Rigby. Fantastic. Love it. Right, boys, pleasure. Good podcast. Fingers crossed for tomorrow. God, I hope we get the 3 points. I really do. And stick tuned to GSPN Daily because we'll do a roundup of the game after tomorrow's action. It's going to be a big one.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.